Hello, welcome again to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming. No bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. Now, on this episode, we are going to continue with our example of play from Manhattan Project 2, Minutes to Midnight. Now, last video, which you can look up and find here on my YouTube channel. Last video went through the first couple of turns showing you how things worked with worker placement and retrieval. Since then we've had quite a few things going on and we're getting ready to score our first scoring card here, the ICBM one, in just a moment or two. But just to bring you up to speed to what's going on here with all our players, Mr. Green, as you can see, has really maximized and mobilized his players. Also focused on research labs and a lot of his factories too, and he detonated 7 nukes in his one test site as well. Miss Blue has been busy building reactors, working on focusing on nukes also, and looking at third world possible strategies, because the third world scoring card comes next as well. And she, of course, is a little behind on some of the other arms race items, but doing fine. And Mr. Orange here, who also has detonated a test site, and Mr. Orange has been working a lot on factories and research too, and ICBMs. As you can see, there's a lot of nukes there. Technology-wise, everybody's cruising along here. Mr. Orange is doing quite well in the arms race, both ICBM, and you can see his spot on the bombers there. No one's done much with the subs, but then the subs are way at the end of scoring, so that's not that big of a surprise there. So let's pick up here. As you can see, the green die is over here, meaning Miss Blue's turn is up. So Miss Blue is going to do her worker retrieval. So first thing we do is slide up the red marker there, and she gets a $1 bonus for that particular space. And again, as mentioned in the previous video, you can retrieve in any order that you want, but you must retrieve everyone. So Miss Blue is going to go ahead and start first of all over here in Mr. Orange's third world country. Now whenever you place politicians in the third world country, it allows you to move your marker closer towards control of that area. And then when you also have control and put nukes into that area, it scores you points for the third world segment. So she starts with that there. Now she also has put a spy in Mr. Orange's reactor here. Now what your spy does is it activates the space like you owned it, and Mr. Orange has a 2 nuke value on the technology track, so she will get 2 more nukes. She has a gigantic stockpile, but that's okay. If you take a look at her board over there, she's got a worker on a test site, so I think we all know what's coming here in just a few short moments. Speaking of nukes, she has a general down here on that track, picking up another 2 nukes. That's going to be making Mr. Orange nervous because he has no nukes right now whatsoever. You can use one factory as well as if you actually own the factory itself. So she's going to use the factory for the time being to get herself a jet fighter, because she is behind in that arms race, but now she's caught up to everybody else. And since bombers are coming next, she's going to catch up on the technology track with the bombers too, because again, you advance your tech and you get a fighter squadron whenever you do the factory. Now of the factory actions, she's going to take the money this time around. So $1 for each action gives her $2 more for her war chest. She had a general going around picking up some money there too, so he's in that space that gives her 3, but also of course gives Mr. Orange and Mr. Green another $1 as well. And now of course over here to the last part of her board, working on her buildings. So she's going to extract her guy from her research lab. Now research lab, again, you can get $2 or increase tech here. She's going to go ahead and continue to increased technology and going to do it with actually the reactors. Keep them moving up because she has quite a few reactors, which will build her a lot of nukes. So she's going to retract 2 workers from 2 different reactor buildings. And with a value of 2, that's going to be another 4 nukes that she's going to get. But she's going to need them because she's just about to get her last worker here and set off this test site. Now with a test site, you can detonate between 1 and 7 nukes. She's going with all 7. That was part of the reason for stockpiling. So 1, 2, 3. These are getting speedy and slippy to pick up here. 3, 4, 5, 6, and finally 7. So there goes the bomb, and she is now tied for the lead with her test site detonation there. Okay, so again, we can tell Miss Blue's turn is over because her track is completely filled with all her people. So that takes us to Mr. Orange now. Now Mr. Orange is up here, and Mr. Orange is going to trigger off the scoring. Now, when the disc is moved, as you can see, the ICBM marker here covers the scoring track, so there's no bonus for Mr. Orange. And Mr. Orange will get to do his complete worker retrieval before we do any scoring with the scoring card. So, here we go with Mr. Orange. So Mr. Orange is going to first go ahead and take his worker here and turn him into a politician because, of course, the battle for the third world countries is upcoming here. So getting influence in third world countries is going to be a very high priority. And Mr. Orange is going to use, again, order is important here, he's going to use his research lab to increase his ICBM tech to 4. And then he's going to use his general here under proliferation, which allows him to place a nuke from his supply from, oh no, he doesn't have any nukes. He forgot to get them. Well, actually, I think part of the problem was the spy issue is what happened with the nukes. Ah, oh, bummer. So, unfortunately, Mr. Orange cannot add anything else there, and that sometimes happens. So, that's not so good for Mr. Orange. Bad outcome there. Alright, well, technology-wise, he's got another research lab here, and he's going to start to plan ahead for the sub-showdown, which will be coming eventually. And then the last thing is he has this, well, actually he has his politicians. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead with the politicians over here. So one politician here is going to move the marker 2 spaces in Mr. Green's third world country, and he has another politician there to move it 1 more space. So Mr. Orange really needs to work on getting some nukes, because not only can he really safely put some nukes in this third world country, because if you look here now, he's almost over to the control part of that, but he's going to need them too for building other things, and plus he's also missed out with his ICBM building, so not so good. A little bit of a bad deal there for Mr. Orange. But sometimes, I mean, that can happen. You can hope for something's going to happen, and somebody thwarts you. So his last worker's coming from his factory, so he is activating his factory here. And again, he has 3 choices he can make, 2 actions that he can do with it. It's up to him. He can either collect $1, or he can build a sub, or he can build a bomber. Now his bomber technology is at level 3, so he could build a couple of bombers if he wanted to, but he has to pay the nukes to do that. So again, without those nukes, boy, Mr. Orange is having a bad turn. So the only thing he really can do is take the $2 from that, and his turn is over. So now, time to score here. So let's get this scoring moving on. Now, every scoring has a card. So here, this ICBM one. So we'll start here at the top. 3 VPs if you're among the players with the most detonated test sites. Well, everybody has 1 test site that's been detonated. So everybody's among that. So everybody moves up 3. Now, 4 victory points if your ABM defense matches or exceeds the ICBMs of your opponent who has the most ICBMs. So basically you're looking at, except yourself, who has the most ICBMs and is your ABM level at that. Now, for the ABMs, you take however many ABM sites you have here, like Mr. Orange has 1, and you multiply it by your ABM technology track, which is 3. Here is where he's at. So 1 times 3 is 3. Now, of his opponents, the person who has the most is Miss Blue. She has 2 nuclear warheads there. So he actually has managed to have an ABM defense that matches or exceeds. So Mr. Orange will get 4 victory points out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mr. Green has an ABM defense of 3 as well. He has 1 ABM launcher site there. So he's trying to match it up against the others. But the highest total of his opponents is 6 by Mr. Orange. So no bonus there. Miss Blue has the same problem. She only has 1 ABM launcher site times her level technology, which is 2. And that is just not going to cut it. So unfortunately, neither one of them are going to get that. Now, everybody gets 1 victory point for their ICBMs. So Mr. Orange here has a stack of 6 of them. So he'll go up 6 more spaces here on the track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mr. Green didn't build a whole lot of ICBMs, so he only goes up by 2. And Miss Blue didn't build a whole lot either, so she goes up by 3. Now, 7 ICBM if you're among the players with the most ICBMs. Well, the most ICBMs is held by Mr. Orange. So he gets another 7 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4 victory points are scored if you are among the players with the second most ICBMs. Well, Miss Blue has 3, Mr. Green has 2, so Miss Blue will get 4 more victory points as well. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that is the end of the scoring for the ICBM. Now, the next scoring that's going to be coming up is going to be the third world country scoring. But the next video I'm going to do with this game is actually going to be a video that's going to show basically the end of the game when we get to the final scoring, just to show you how the game plays out and to do the final scoring as well. So right now, if you're looking at the track here, Mr. Orange is doing pretty well with 24 victory points. Miss Blue is within striking distance, so to speak, at 17. But, oh, Mr. Green's got to get going. He's got to do it fast, too, because he's behind the third world countries as well. Not so good here for Mr. Green. So, again, I'll do some more turns of this off camera, if you will, and then I'll come back for one last final video to kind of wrap things up, do the scoring, end game scoring, and finish up this replay. So, this has been Tim Korchnoi for Bare Bones Wargaming, wishing you victory in all your games, as well as good times and fun. See you next time.